Wargames tend to be quite complex. They very often have long rulebooks with a lot of optional advanced rules which can be applied when players are looking for a very detailed representation of a conflict that the game tends to simulate. But even wargamers sometimes want to play something less complex, something easy to prepare, easy to play, and without a lot of rules which should be memorized and learned before playing. Today, I would like to present you one of such games. Hello, this is Mr. Leviathan Sorbet and this is a new episode of Wojennik TV. Today an unboxing, but an unboxing of a prototype version, or rather of a trial version, which was sent to me by one of the publishers with whom I already had the pleasure of cooperating some time ago. This will be the unboxing of the trial version of Urban Battle Main Square, a game by Forsage Games, which will very soon try to be funded on Kickstarter. This is a game which was prepared by Forsage Games and designed by Predrag Lazovic and by Dragan Lazovic, and it is a game which was sent to me by the company itself in order to present it on my channel. The game is for 2 players aged 10 or higher, with a time of play somewhere around 30 minutes. So, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is not a very complex war game. This is a game which can be very easily just set up, then played, and then brought back to the table if we want to have a replay. This is a game which in general will transport us to a hypothetical battleground set in an urban area. This is not a historical representation of any battle, of any war. This is a game which will be obviously a war game because it will involve military units, it will involve combat, tank-to-tank combat, but it is not set in any historical period or in any historical conflict. Even so, this is a game which will have a lot of interesting elements inside it, but elements which will not be too complex, which will not hinder the learning process of the game, which will not impact the gameplay. So this will be a game in which scenarios can be easily played under 30 minutes. During the game, we will be playing one of the scenarios which are available in the game. The list of those scenarios is still not closed. It will evolve during the campaign, after the campaign, before the game gets produced and sent to backers. But even though today already we have a lot of scenarios which can be showed, which can be played, and which make the game very diverse. You have a lot of different vehicles, as you will see in a few moments, which are available, of tanks of different sizes, different power, but also some over vehicles such as howitzers, such as special purpose vehicles, armored vehicles. So you'll be having a lot of different vehicles, each of them obviously with their own stats, with their own firepower, with their own armor. During the game, which will be for 2 players, one of the players will take control of one of the sides, the second of the second side, but the goals of each side might be different. During a given scenario, one of the side might, for example, try to pass through the battlefield to push the enemy to push the enemy to one side of the battlefield, or maybe even to make a breach in the defense and to push forward and to leave the battlefield. So it depends really on how the scenario is constructed, which means that playing Urban Battle Main Square will be a different experience depending on the scenario which you will be playing. Now, having said all that, once again I want to strongly underline that what I will be showing today is only a trial version. It's not the final version of the components, and having this in mind, I'd like to invite you right now to the second part of the video, during which I'd like to open the box with the game and show you how the components of Urban Battle Main Square look. So let's begin. Here is a brief look at Urban Battle Main Square by Forsage Games. Mind that this is only a trial edition, this is not the final version of the game which will be hopefully released after a successful Kickstarter campaign, so when looking at the components which are inside this box, keep this in mind, and the final components might differ from what I will be showing today. The game is for 2 players, age 10 or higher, and the time of play is 30 minutes or even shorter. So this is not a very complex game. The box itself is quite heavy because we do have a lot of components inside, and when we take a look at what is on the back of the box, we can see that the set includes 100 tank pieces of 19 different types. So this is the reason added also to the number of terrain tiles that we'll receive, which makes this box so heavy. Now let's take a look at how those components look. I want to underline one more thing. You do have the information easy play. The game mechanics are designed with the MCMD principle in mind: minimum complexity, maximum diversity, with the primary focus on easiness of playing, hence the easy play mark. So this will not be a very complex game, although it might really require a lot of interesting decisions during gameplay. So this is something which I really like in games, not only in war games but in board games in general, when you do have a limited number of rules but you do have a lot of options during gameplay. So the first thing which we receive is a rules set. Obviously those rules are printed in such a way that they will be explaining all the basic mechanisms, but as mentioned earlier, this is only the trial edition, so this is obviously not how the final rule book will look. You do have an introduction, then you have also an information about the different missions that you can play, so information how to set up those missions. You do have a lot of them, so a lot of diversity is possible with different maps used, with a different number of units, with a different scale depending on what you want to play and how you want to approach the game. The playing boards are in this shrink wrap, so let's also open it and let's see how those terrain tiles look and how diverse they really are. All of them will be showing urban spaces because the main idea is to simulate tank-to-tank battle in urbanized areas. So no Eastern Front, open terrain, but only urban warfare. This is not a game which is based on any historical events. No historical setting here, although we do have some kind of tanks which might be resembling to what we had in World War II. So this is the first board, as you can see, a huge one with buildings, with some over-terrain features. You do have some smaller buildings, you do have also a stream, some bridges, some hexes which I suppose will be inaccessible during the game. Also the squares are numbered. Those are not hexes, so those are squares with numbers and also with letters, which will be important when it comes to, for instance, victory conditions in some scenarios, or maybe those will be entry points of units which will be joining the battle from different sides of the board. This is the second board, so as you can see, this one is a little bit bigger, but again with squares depicting buildings, depicting some over terrain features. We do have also some rails, so a railway station will be probably somewhere here. This is quite a big board, so depending on the scenario we will be using this big board or the smaller one. It's possible obviously also to play a game in which we'll be using both when the battlefield will become quite huge. Some roads which will also be used by vehicles in order to cross different sections of the city, but in general the whole fun will be associated to maneuvering in such a way to attack enemy vehicles and at the same time stay protected behind a building. So those are the two big elements of the playing area. Apart from that, we do receive a lot of other components described, as you can see, in those bags. So we do have 3 dice. Those are 6-sided dice, but also one special with some modifiers, as you can see. Then we have some blue components resembling cases, or those will be maybe used as barricades, who knows, I will have to check it in the rules. Some smaller, those seem to be holders or standees, so let's check them later. Then we have some tanks, and here we have 3D printed and molded, so different ones. Let's compare them. Here is the version with molded tanks, as you can see, that's how they look, and here is the version with when they are 3D printed. So they look quite different, that's true. Here we have also an elephant or Ferdinand, the red one, a big one. So the tanks will be of different types, obviously. Then we have also molded playing pieces in the more expensive option or in the cheaper option. Tanks with rotating turrets, let's take a look at them. So here we have some vehicles, as you can see, also some more complex ones. Here we have also some smaller ones, and as mentioned and as indicated, those will be tanks with rotating turrets, so that's an excellent thing. In some war games which I played, for instance in Panzer, this was also possible when it came to counters. We did receive additional counters enabling to show the direction in which the turret was pointed. Here it's not any problem, you'll just be rotating the turret. So great addition. As you can see, it applies to all of those miniatures. Miniatures of very different types. We do receive a lot of different vehicle kinds. Here you have some rocket launchers. Then we have also some armored vehicles, if I'm correct. You do have some trucks with rocket launchers again, but I did see somewhere also some armored vehicles. Here we go. No, that's also a light tank, I think. Okay, so we have a lot of different models. Then we have also the gray ones, again in very different types, with some armored vehicles. Here we go. You have also an armored vehicle. Here you have some counters, again, which will be added to the vehicles. For instance, you can take this flag and insert it in the vehicle, which will be important when it comes, for instance, to some targets, or maybe to some command tanks or command vehicles. So this is also a great idea to include such a possibility and to indicate some of the vehicles in such a way. Again, some additional ones, those will be the cheaper ones with some flags, as you can see, which also will be insert, flag stands, etc. Again, some other components which I'm not aware of how they work right now. You do have also a compass which will be used for direction pointing, as you can see, with different directions possible, with an arrow which will be rotated. Then also this component with speed, which will be increased, decreased. Very well done, nicely made. Some rulers which will be used to track to measure distance, because all the vehicles in the game will be having some range stats enabling them to shoot at a given distance. So those rulers would be used to determine if such a fire is possible. And we have also two reference sheets indicating the kinds of units which will be used in the game. So as you can see, several ones. You have reconnaissance vehicles, light tanks, medium tanks, a heavy tank bulldozer, super heavy tank, tank destroyer, assault gun, tank hunter, light howitzer, heavy mortar, rocket launcher, amphibious tank, anti-aircraft gun, armored recovery vehicle, truck and half truck. A lot of them, each of them will have their own specific parameters related to armor, both the front one as well as the side one and the rear one. The drive type, some of them will be wheeled as the reconnaissance vehicle, most of them will be tracked. Then we have also a speed indicating how fast the vehicle will be moving. A reconnaissance vehicle is extremely fast, but for instance the heavy assault gun will be significantly slower. Effectiveness indicated in points. The super heavy tank has an effectiveness of 9, the reconnaissance vehicle 2, maybe those will be used in order to construct your own army. Then you have also stats related to firepower, basic and / realistic mode, so different ones depending on the vehicle, with also some range by some of the artillery close units. We have also the weapon mount. Some of them will be turreted, some of them will only have a static turret, which will be shooting only in the direction in which the whole vehicle is pointed, and some other information about specific capacities of units. For instance, the truck will be used in special missions, the heavy howitzer will be used for parabolic fire, etc. And the back of the box, or rather the bottom of the box, with a nice addition with some additional features enabling us to maybe put some units into your garage if you want. So those are the components which are part of the trial version of Urban Battle Main Square. As always in such videos, I indicate that once more and very strongly that those is how the components look at this given time. It's not the final version of the game, it's only the state in which the game was provided by the publisher. The final components will differ and will look differently. Some of them will maybe look closer to what I presented today, but keep that in mind. Now let me invite you to the final part of the video. I would like to share with you my initial thoughts after opening this box. The elements of Urban Battle Main Square look great. Even though it's a trial version, I do see a lot of potential here. I really like the previous game that I already had the pleasure of playing and reviewing from Forsage Games, which was called Panzer Strike. This was a very small scale game in which we did have tiles which were used to construct the battlefield. Then we had tanks of different sizes, but there it was really a mini game. It was a game in which the different kinds of tanks were differentiated by their color. Here we have different miniatures which will enable us to at a glance instantly differentiate the vehicles one from another. So what I really like in this specific project is the fact that you do have a lot of different tanks or other kinds of vehicles. This means that during the game you will really have to make the best of each of them and use them to their best. Use them to their potential. Use their potential to your benefit in such a way to really take advantage of their strong points and at the same time limiting any damage due to their weaker points. So each and every vehicle will have a specific armor, front armor, side armor and rear armor, which means that maneuvering on the battlefield will be extremely important. The thing is that the battle will be taking place in an urban area, which means that there will be a lot of dead angles, a lot of places where you will be able to hide, a lot of places where you will be able to wait for your opponent to come. But this doesn't mean that there won't be any maneuvering. There will be a lot of maneuvering. You will be trying to outmaneuver your opponent. You will be trying to attack them from the rear. You will be trying to accomplish objectives which might be not strictly associated to destroying enemy forces, which might be of a different kind. So I'm eager to jump into the game. I'm eager into trying Urban Battle. I really enjoyed Panzer Strike. It was a clever small game. If you haven't seen my review of this game, I strongly recommend you jump right into it and you take a look at what I've already explained about the game and said about the system, because Urban Battle is to some extent based also on Panzer Strike. It's a game which is based on 3 different previous games for Forsage Games, and Panzer Strike is definitely one of them, which is instantly seen when you take a look at the board, when you take a look at the playing pieces, even when you take a look at the theme or the main setting. In Panzer Strike we had tanks versus tank combat. Is the same thing in Urban Battle. Urban Battle main square will very shortly come to Kickstarter. The campaign will be launched at the beginning of April 2025, and at the same time it also deserves to be mentioned that alongside Urban Battle main square there will be also a slightly easier version for juniors, for even younger players, which will have fewer pieces, which will have fewer rules, which will enable also younger players to enjoy Urban Battle. So stay tuned, you will be able to back both main square as well as main square junior during the campaign. I think it will be something which might be interesting if you are into tank-to-tank combat. This is something which you definitely wait for, and which you definitely should follow and see if the campaign fulfills your expectations. This was the unboxing of Urban Battle main square by Forsage Games, obviously of the trial version of the game. Thank you a lot for watching this video. I invite you also to take a look at my other videos. I do have some other English content on my channel related to war games, related also to classical board games. I also invite you to take a look at my social media accounts, on my Twitter account, my Facebook and my Instagram account. I wish you a terrific day and see you next time.